What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Fall Obsession podcast. My name is Sam Thrash. I'm your show host over here. Thank you all for tuning in. We've recorded a lot of podcasts, and for an everyday blue collar Texas bow hunter like myself, had the privilege of recording with some folks that I would consider big names in the hunting industry, right? Some household names on top of that. And it's been a true honor to get to sit down and talk with some of these folks. This week is no exception. Maybe not necessarily to hunting exclusively, but somebody who has made an outstanding name for themselves and is a very, very down to earth, blue collar guy, grinding it out just like the rest of us. You guys may know him as the world's most famous bull rider of all time, and that is the one and only Dale Brisby. Dale actually extended an invite to Nick and myself to join him in person in his studio to record this episode for our podcast. So we can't thank Dale enough for his hospitality and his media team that was there and helped us get everything set up and stuff. Man, these guys were awesome on the spot, and we really had a great conversation with Dale, getting to sit down with him and again just get to know him as a person and stuff. So it's not our normal exclusively hunting and outdoor guests that we have on the show, but this is a great episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to save the rest of it. I won't do it justice trying to explain anything else in the intro. I want you guys to hear the episode and our conversation with Dale. If you don't know who Dale Brisby is, then a simple Google search, look him up on Instagram, whatever it might be. You'll probably recognize him pretty quick. But again, hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Before we get to the episode, though, got to hit a few things, as you guys know. First and foremost, Hoot Camo is a Fall Obsession partner. Been rocking Hoot gear for, this will be my second season now wearing it. Started wearing it last year and fell in love with everything about it. The quality of the gear, the versatility of the patterns, the warmth, the functionality, like all of it. It is all there, guys, and you got to check it out. Go to hootcamo.com, see everything that they got going on. We got plenty of content and reviews and videos and stuff on our pages and our YouTube channel. You can check out our Flatland Deer Country film that we did last year. That was the hunt I debuted the Hoot Camo in, so you can visually see on a camera, right, the versatility of the pattern and stuff. So go check out Hoot Camo. Their price points are very reasonable and affordable to the everyday hunter, which is another thing that I love about them. If you are trying to get into a good, high-quality set of camouflage, Hoot is the way to go. Go to hootcamo.com, check out everything you have on there, and if you're going to place an order, no matter how big or small, use the code FALLOBSESSION15, and that will save you some money at checkout. hootcamo.com. News on Safaris is a Fall Obsession podcast partner. We've had members of our team and individuals that we know outside of Fall Obsession hunt with News On and had a great experience. They highly recommend it. So if you guys are looking for that big adventure, that African safari perhaps that you've been anticipating, then you need to give our folks over at News On a call and try to set something up with them. If you let them know that Fall Obsession sent you, you get some savings, specifically a $500 trophy credit. Your lodging, food, and drinks, all those fees are covered. Your professional hunter, tracker, and skinner fees are covered. Your basic trophy prep will be taken care of. That all comes out to a value of $2,250 per person, and that's valid for up to 4 people in your hunting party. So if you do the math on that, that's $9,000 that you could be saving on your News On Safari, and all you got to do is tell them that Fall Obsession sent you. Give Tim over there a call. His phone number is 303-946-9441. Again, that's Tim, and he will get you squared away. Be sure that you tell News On Safaris that Fall Obsession sent you. Elite Archery is a podcast partner. Been shooting an elite bow for several seasons now. Got an ethos that should be showing up any day now. Hoping that I can rock that thing in this upcoming elk hunt that I have at the end of September. But if you guys haven't taken the Elite Shootability Challenge at your local dealer, then that's exactly what you need to go do. I can talk with you guys on the show in the sponsor segment about how great elite bows are. But the ultimate test for you is going to your shop and testing it out, seeing if it is the right bow for you. Even Elite themselves tell all of their customers to go do that very thing. So go to your local Elite Dealer and take the Elite Shootability Challenge and see what you think. You won't be disappointed. Trophy Edits is another partner over here at Fall Obsession. If you guys have had those photos, I'm sure we all have at this point, where it was a memorable experience, a memorable hunt, perhaps a big deer, but the picture just didn't do it the justice you were hoping, right? The lighting might have been a little off, the photo might have been dark, or perhaps there was a bunch of blood and everything all over the picture that you didn't think about, and now it's a little squeamish for you to show to some of your family members at Thanksgiving, whatever it might be. Then you need to check out our folks over at Trophy Edits, because what they do is they clean up those photos, they work with the lighting, they do all that kind of stuff for the everyday person to make those photos the best that they can be. So if you guys are interested in checking out Trophy Edits, whether it's right now for a previous hunt that you've had, or maybe later on in the season you have one of those experiences or those scenarios we just talked about, and you remember this ad, remember that Trophy Edits is the place you need to go to check them out, then go to the description on this podcast or any one of our podcast episodes, and there's a link in the description that you can click on that'll take you to their website, and it will let them know that Fall Obsession sent you. Go check out Trophy Edits. The Outdoor Call Radio app is a podcast partner. Outdoors Dan from Respect the Game TV, he has created an app that you can download on any device where you can stream hunting shows and podcasts on a loop every single day. Fall Obsession podcast streams on that loop on Mondays, the same day as our new publications, along with tons of other hunting shows and podcasts that we all know and love. Go download the Outdoor Call Radio app today. It is free. You can start streaming immediately, and be sure that you follow their social media pages and follow Outdoors Dan, because they do a couple different local Midwestern radio shows throughout the week, some live broadcasts, and they share those broadcasts on those social media pages, so you don't want to miss those. The Outdoor Call Radio app, go download it. Last but not least, Ridge Rock Hunt Company is a podcast partner. Derek Eves over there in Mississippi, he books hunts with a large network of vetted and trusted outfitters that he has across North America. So if you're looking to book that next North American adventure, give Derek a call. He'll work with you on all the details and find something that's right for you. Ridge Rock Hunt Company. Finally, thank you guys again for listening to another Fall Obsession podcast. Whatever platform you are streaming this episode on, if you could hit that follow, subscribe button, whatever they have up there for you, and make sure that those notifications are turned on if that's an option. That helps us out, and make sure that you guys are notified every time that we drop a new episode. We post new podcasts on a weekly basis. Head on over to the YouTube channel too. If you guys are into the podcast video side of everything, that's where we drop our podcast videos on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the week. So you guys can catch all of those on there. fallobsession.com is the website. That's where all of our content filters through. You guys can head on over there, check out everything that we got going on. We got some awesome content, especially some written articles, educational items on whitetail hunting as we enter the whitetail season right now. So head on over to the website, pick you up a hat or a shirt if you're so inclined, and check out our series that we have streaming on Carbon TV as well. This podcast is on there. Our staff-inspired podcast series, Couch Chats, is on Carbon TV, as well as two of our hunting shows, Texas Dirt and Midwest Mindset. Go check out everything we got going on there, and remember to follow Fall Obsession on all the major social media platforms. All right, with that, I'm hopping off of here, taking you guys to the Rodeo Time studio with the one and only Dale Brisby. You are listening to another Fall Obsession podcast.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
This, man.
You bet.
Welcome back, everybody. Another Fall Obsession podcast, episode 204, and we are in studio with the one and only Dale Brisby.
World's greatest bull rider at your service.
The man himself.
And the most humble.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, thank you for inviting us to come here and record our show.
Yeah. No, love having guys over in the media game. And, yeah, like I said, I'll jump on any podcast, and especially fellow hunters, bow hunters like yourselves.
Yeah.
So
you just got into bow hunting, didn't you?
Yeah, just last year. So I've only even been on one bow hunt, killed one animal with a bow. So I'm about 2 weeks away from my second bow hunt. But yeah, it's kind of new. It's very similar to roping.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever dabbled with a nylon, but there's days where you just feel like you can't miss, and then there's days where you feel like you can't catch. And that is what bow hunting is for me.
That makes sense for
Yeah.
sure.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So last year your first animal was an elk, right?
Yes, sir.
What was that like? That being your first
man,
first bow hunt.
So me and a buddy of mine were looking for a bow hunt to go on together. And it was I was calling a couple of ranches about some doe tags, like whatever. We were just wanting to go on a bow hunt, and Mountain Ops was like, hey, we'd like to send you on this hunt. And so got him a spot too up there at Bear Mountain. And so yeah, me and a buddy of mine, that was he'd killed like some antelope with a bow before, but never an elk. And then Donnie came along and filmed it. And Bear Mountain is up in Kremlin, Colorado, and it's run by Brad Probst. And so now we're all four buddies. So we got a group text,
Yeah.
Brad, my friend of mine, Dusty, and then Donnie and myself. And so we just talk about bow hunting pretty much all year round. And
That's cool.
we're 2 weeks away from it. But yeah, back to last year, it was a huge learning experience. And I realized pretty quick the different camps guys are in, as far as like thinking that there's some superior gene for the guys that can go to public land. And while I understand that someone may prefer it, it's my first time to shoot a bow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have no problem taking a guide.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Zero. Like whatever. Like if you think that makes it lesser, like whatever. Consider me lesser then. Because I'm not going to just walk out there, waste my time, injure an elk. Just maybe if I even see one.
Right.
Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've spent my whole life like in this Western world, not in, yeah, we dove hunted. I did a little duck hunting. I've shot some deer, but I'm not an avid bow hunter enough that I'm going to go out on public land and then just thrash somebody else's hunt, probably not get an elk, spend all the money.
Yeah, that's really jumping it with both feet. First time you ever shooting an animal, going to public land where you've never been before.
So this guy, like Brad, he's just like, hey, we're going to walk down here, and it's like a 25 square mile ranch. It might as well be public land.
Right.
He knows it like the back of his hand. And but the elk are different every year. It's low fence, obviously, and just having him take us and me learning, like I don't mind having a guide maybe the next 3 or 4 more trips that I go out, and then yeah, I'll come back here to Texas maybe this fall and go stalk some pigs by myself where the stakes are pretty low.
Yeah.
But
Get some reps in that way.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. I'm sure there's
perfect way
people
to do
out
it.
there that it's just like, oh, you ain't no cowboy. Well, whatever. Yeah, I got meat in the freezer, so that's all
that matters.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's why we do it. Well, man, let's get formal for just a second. Who is Dale Brisby? For those who don't know.
Well, for the 3 of you that don't know, I am the world's greatest bull rider. I invented riding bulls with one hand, and yeah, and so you're welcome for that. And I'm sorry for all you girls that keep bucking off, but Dale Brisby just kind of set the bar. And anybody else that wants to ride bulls, give me a call, and you can be maybe an intern. But just know the best you're ever going to be is second, right behind me. So I've now got this ranch, Radiator Ranch, here in Winnebago, Texas, where I train up-and-comers, and we're just training champions every day. I can't remember. It's either 7 or 8 interns that I have now that most of which are in this room editing, and we practice 1 or 2 times a week, and then they'll go to rodeos. We're bringing on 1 or 2 more within the next 2 weeks, and yeah, we basically create videos. We've got a podcast of our own. We've also got a vlog. We'll put out 2 or 3 of those a week, and that's what we do. rodeo, we ranch, and we film it.
That's awesome.
And and then occasionally we go bow hunting.
Yeah.
But it's a fun way. It's a fun lifestyle. Like just like you can get hooked on hunting, that same bug can grab you with rodeo.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with the intern side of like what does that even look like for somebody coming in that wants to be an intern with you?
20. It's probably maybe the spring of 16. So about 8 years ago, we had a couple of employees helping, but I saw an opportunity. I was like, man, I think I've got a situation where there's young people interested in ranching, interested in rodeo, that I need help in the warehouse and at the ranch, and maybe they need an opportunity to rodeo and ranch. And so I was really mulling that over in my mind, and this kid reached out to me from Utah and said, hey, can I be an intern? I need college credit. And his name was Dean. I'm blanking on his last name. We called him Deanie Weenie String Bikini. Sutton. There it is. Thanks, Donnie. And so Dean came on, and he just happened to message me. And I was like, that's very interesting. And he sent me a video. And I was like, that's cool, because I was thinking, so Dean was the first, and he did that for college credit. There actually haven't been any more since then do that for college credit, but there's been about 20-ish, maybe somewhere between 20 and 25, probably closer to 25 filtered through since Dean.
Wow.
And we built an arena shortly after that and started getting bucking horses and bucking bulls. And now we've had as many as 10 at a time.
Oh, wow.
But there's various little shacks around town that we'll put them in, that they live in. I've got storage containers that are turned into cabins.
Okay.
Donnie's been here the longest, and it's 5 years and some change, and he's from Missouri. Jordan's been here 4 years and some change. She's from North Carolina. We've got another Missouri. Where's Kentucky, Montana? We've got them from all over. We've had them from Nebraska. This new guy's coming from Pennsylvania.
Wow. That's awesome.
There's not a lot of opportunities to some of those states. It's hard to find places to go rodeo and practice. In Texas, there's a lot more opportunities.
Right.
And I happen to be one that's on the internet, and so more people hear about my opportunity. So there's similar situations out there that exist, but there's not a lot of places where you can work and learn.
Right.
And so that's what makes this particular one more unique for a young person wanting to rodeo. But I'm encouraged for the future of rodeo because of the internet.
Yeah.
Chris Ledoux has a song about cowboys and how they're still out there. You just can't see them from the road. Like we're deep into the pasture gathering cows, and when you drive by, you're just like, they don't exist. No, we're out here. You just can't see us from the road. Well, with Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all the things, you can now see us from the road.
Mm-hmm.
And as a creator in that space for now 11 years, since my first YouTube video, it's afforded this opportunity where it's a paid position, but we've continued in the videos to call it an internship, and that's a way to let the people know that the job exists.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. So the media side of everything, and you talked about 11 years ago being your first video. You've grown up in the cowboy and the ranching side of everything, but what piqued your interest back then and leading into now to get into all the media? Because it's a lot of work, and especially looking around your room here and everything you got going on, you've gone full send into a big operation here and are doing it the right way. What's been the driving forces behind that over the years?
So I've got a really good buddy who is actually, I owe a lot of my hunting experience to him. He kind of helped get me into hunting in a certain way. But his name's Mitch Montgomery. They've got a ranch over in Azle called Montgomery Properties Ranches, and they also work a lot of cattle. I'll go over there and help them with that occasionally too. So they ranch and guide hunts. But Mitch, there's another buddy of mine, Weston Rutkowski. We were up in New Jersey when at a rodeo, and Mitch filmed the first video that I ever made. And he started a YouTube channel and uploaded it and sent me the login. And then about 2 months later, he made the second video, and maybe the third even. And then I got an Instagram at that time. Then got I'd had a Facebook before the YouTube. I had a Facebook since 2010, but in 2013, Mitch uploaded the first YouTube video. And so, anyhow, he helped kickstart that YouTube for me. And from there, I'm not very computer savvy. I don't know how to create a spreadsheet. I don't, these cameras, it's actually foreign to me, but that is the work side of it for me.
Right.
Is figuring out the computers. To be honest, like, this is a little antiquated way to run a podcast. Like, you guys probably even have the one on a computer. Maybe like the professionals, that's what they use. It's through a computer, and you're editing it like, we don't. Like, we've got SD cards, and we're a little antiquated just because I don't know. But in my mind, it was either work at that or go work a 9-to-5 that I did not enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just didn't enjoy as much.
Right, sure.
Thankfully, I've got some people around me, I've got friends where I could probably have an okay job, maybe ranching, but I just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I wanted, at the time, too, I also wanted the freedom to rodeo. So I really don't mind any job. At that time, I didn't mind a job if they allowed me to rodeo. Like, hey, if you can let me be flexible there, like, I'll work my ass off while I'm here, and then I'll tell you when I'm going to be gone. If we can do that, then it's, game on. But regardless, I did have to learn about the media side.
You're
and
right.
That part was. But if you're willing to work hard and you got a good attitude, then anything will work out.
Oh, absolutely. And it changes so quickly, it seems like, as far as what can be popular on certain platforms, or just what people are into. And it's almost like
Yes,
you
sir.
have to
Trends
adapt
change,
and shift with that, it seems like. So
I also, kind of like how the way I took on a guide for bow hunting, like, that is okay. Like, I'm completely okay with it. I'm going to default to his mentorship. Well, I do that in every area of my life, except bull riding because I'm at the top. But bronc riding, for instance, a good friend of mine, Jacobs Crawley, like, that was the standard for me. And anything I needed to do, like, I let him be the standard, maybe to a fault. There's a point where you need to kind of maybe be a little more of a student of the game for yourself. For media, it was Gary V. And I consumed his podcasts and his posts, his vlog. I mean, a few times I had to check up as if I was like, because I was into that more than I was like the Bible, and like doing my Bible studies. I had to like slow down. But so whatever he said, I did. And I think that's important when you're getting started. There comes a point where it's okay to take advice, and then you need to take into consideration your goals in life. Like, I don't want to be Gary V. So I also need to, like, yes, that advice is good, but there's some ways where I need to divert and do my own thing. Same thing with hunting, same thing with rodeo. But I've had some. Anyways, I'm getting off into the weeds, but
no, you're good.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we frequently wander into those weeds all the time on this show.
Yes,
so
sir.
No problems there. But so you have the the media side, you have your brand, your
Yes, sir.
apparel brand and everything like that. Still ranching and rodeoing if you can. I guess my question is about balance, like how you juggle all that and make it all happen, because you got a lot going on here.
One thing I've tried to do well this year that I've not perfected is being just absolutely efficient with every minute of every hour of every day. You know, I've also, so there's over the last 7 years, there's been a lot of time where injuries have kept me from rodeoing, and I need to go back to the doctor. I'm probably cleared by now. I did have a surgery, but I feel completely fine. I just haven't done my last. I could probably go get on one right now. So on paper, I'm not cleared, but I'd be fine to get on. Regardless, the point is, rodeoing hasn't eaten up a lot of my time these last several months. But the other things in life, like the apparel line, like I think what's important is to find the right people to delegate some of those things to,
Right.
which has been helpful, and I've done that. But then the other thing is just being extremely efficient with your time. If you're not lazy, then it's not that big of an issue.
Yeah, it's intentionality. It's working toward a purpose and being direct with stuff. That's how you grow any brand. I know that's where obviously we're the most successful, is when we're intentional and put effort into something and try to make it work.
And there's I think one thing is, like, people try to get, there are routines that a person should try to get into, but sometimes you go really hard in the paint and then you need to step back.
Right.
And then you're like, all right, I've stepped back too much now I need to go hard in the paint. And it's a constant back and forth. And so I think the balance question is probably a different answer for everyone. It just depends on where you are in life. And, even between you two guys, like, you may have something going on and you need to slow down and you go hard in the paint, or vice versa. And then you, obviously it's great when you both go hard in the paint for 6 months at a time. But at some point, you got to take a breath of fresh air. And
right.
So, anyways, that's the constant battle, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where, like you said, having those people that you bring into your life, having them matters, because you need to have somebody who you can bounce stuff off of and work with and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I used to edit every video. Well, I say that. I've always had some help.
Right.
But, like, when I was really first getting started, I had one guy, he would show up to my ranch on average twice a month, and he would stay for 3 days each visit. Film. He would go edit. Well, then I would do my own videos while he was gone. And so that was kind of, for the first couple of years, that was the way it went. And anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're good,
I didn't
man.
expect that to take me back for a second.
Right.
Yeah, I just went down memory lane. But now there's literally 6 people in here that are each working on different videos. One of them's working on a thumbnail.
I was going to say, you've come a long way from you doing all yourself and looking at the people in here working. But
Last week was an ideal week for us.
yeah.
There were TikToks put out every day on multiple channels. There were Reels put out every day on multiple channels. On Facebook as well. Shorts every day on YouTube. And then there was long form. There were 3 vlogs put out long form and 2 podcasts put out long form.
Wow.
So last week was ideal. I've been here and present and not traveling, going to booths or appearances or anything. So we've had that in our corner.
Yeah.
But then also, like I said, 6 people full force moving forward.
Yeah.
And so that's the game. I don't feel like I'm putting out enough content. And as good as last week was for us, like, I know there are still moments where it would have been great to get more stuff out. And I look at some of the people in our industry that the thing, every 3 weeks they're maybe putting out one random video, and it's just like, I don't know how you guys are surviving.
Yeah,
Good on you for being able, because if they were putting out, there's no telling what they
could do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to be consistent with it,
Right.
and that's just, like you said, that's playing the game at
Mm-hmm.
that point. So, how often are you podcasting? How often do you record
we-
podcasts?
best case scenario for us is twice a week.
Twice a week.
But we that's right now, the more sustainable is once a week.
Yeah.
So we've I try to get guests that I am sincerely interested in. Like, it's got to be someone I'm personally interested in. So a lot of rodeo, obviously, some ranching, there's military guys, and then musicians.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the 4 categories that we'll kind of fall in with most of our guests. So there's a few of those strayed out. Like, we had Mark Cuban on, and that was super interesting, so fun to. I mean,
Wow.
like, he was cool to be, like, and he just responded to the email.
Really?
Hey, would you be on our podcast? He said, "You bet. Let's schedule it."
That's kind of how I feel about.
No idea
about
who I
this one.
was. He didn't know- he
you
didn't
didn't know
have-
who we were, and you just said, "Yeah, let's do it."
And now, to be honest, like, I've always done that with people with podcasts, but like, Mark Cuban's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Way up there.
you and I we're on the same playing field. Like, like, we're all good old boys, blue collar. Like, it was, right down the road, which Mark Cuban's right there, but we got some pushback because of his politics. But I really love basketball and I love entrepreneurship, so I've always watched Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not a politician, neither is he. I didn't really go there to talk about that. I was just really interested in these other 2 things. Like, I go to Mavericks basketball games,
Yeah.
Yep.
and I really enjoy it. And so I want to talk to Mark Cuban. But
Well, that's awesome. Two podcasts a week on a good day, man. That's a commitment. That's a lot of work right there. Saying it
time.
because we know it.
Yeah.
so many people mainly only consume the short clips.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing about podcasts that, for the longest, we didn't even clip them up. But now, I mean, like, that one he's working on, that over there, like, that's going to be 15, 20 clips
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
There's just, and that'll be, anyway,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
y'all know the game.
it's funny, just the people that look at that kind of stuff, and then they'll take one of those shorts or a reel or a clip, whatever you put together, a snapshot from that conversation, right? And we've had plenty of people, the haters always talk louder, right? They'll critique you or say something about that, and it's like, no, you're missing some of the full context that you
Yeah.
get if you listened otherwise. And not trying to make anybody listen. You can't make anybody listen, but that's another battle that you fight out there, right? Putting out the shorter segments and that kind of thing. Sometimes, at least
Yeah,
what we found,
I mean,
sometimes context is lost.
Yeah, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
Like, if you go down this road, people are going to throw rocks. The only way to keep from having people criticize or throw rocks at you is to absolutely do nothing.
Mhm.
Like, if you do nothing, then nobody's going to disagree with you.
Right. Yep.
Exactly.
But the more you try to do, the more pushback you'll get, and there's just gonna be people that disagree with you, and to me it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, there's points where it sucks less because it happens so much, but it always sucks, when somebody's just like, I think the thing that probably sucks the worst is when you feel like they're misinterpreting, or
Right.
they think your intentions are XYZ, or it's like, no, that's not really exactly how it is. I can see how you'd be upset if that was how it is, but that's not how it is. But sometimes if they're just like, some of it doesn't bother you, like if somebody was like, hunting is unethical and you guys are just rednecks out in the woods. All right, well, that's probably not going to bother you as much as,
Right.
Yeah,
There's definitely unethical ways of doing things, and there are ethical ways of hunting, rodeo. It's all kind of.
But I'm saying,
the
like,
same thing.
the actual haters themselves, you
Right.
know, it's like when another bow hunter is throwing rocks at you. That's
Right.
when it's just
Oh,
like,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
man.
Come on, man. Yeah.
But if it's like, if some PETA lover is on there, it's just like, all right, whatever. This is just noise.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah. We disagree on much more than just this one issue.
Exactly.
Very true.
So on that note, you being a cowboy, do you have people that are looking at you from the, oh yeah, let's get the cowboy hat. There we go. All right, let me start over on that.
Well,
you being a cowboy, but now having your like full on entering this media world, do you have people that question your authenticity simply for that very reason because you're producing media around it?
For sure. Since the first video.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. It's funny because like that guy I was talking about, his name's Randy, that used to come shoot videos 2 or 3 days, twice a month. And we were shooting a video, and I've got a pickup. It's back here. I can show y'all after. It's I don't know, it's just my go-to truck, the first gen.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's just do like a little tour of the truck. And I was like, all right. And so I started at the front bumper, and by the time I got to the headache rack, I had a couple of picking strings, tie strings on there, and I slapped my hand onto the flatbed, and I said, if you ain't got picking strings on your headache rack, then you ain't no cowboy. And I thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. And I kept going around the pickup, and the video turned into "You Ain't No Cowboy." It was it was kind of a tour of the truck, but the video, we now titled it "You Ain't No Cowboy."
That's where it came from, huh?
Yeah, and it just kind of happened in a video while he was recording. And anyhow, the point is, like, I would never actually tell someone,
right,
you ain't no cowboy, but I do, and I am the authority on it now in these videos.
Yep.
The point is, I go to all these booths, and these little kids are now running up to me, telling me I ain't no cowboy. Secretly, deep down, it hurts my feelings, but I know it's my own fault.
Heck, man?
I started this. What do you? Yeah, it's like,
you ain't no cowboy.
No, you're not a cowboy. Right. But anyway.
Yeah. No, there's, like you just said, if you're doing anything in any space, right,
absolutely,
there's going to be people that watch you, critique you, and certainly think that they know it better than you every single time. So.
Most of what I do is comedy, and it's all, we try to have a good time. We have some moments where there is actual, like, hey, this is what you need to do to ride better. This is how you saddle a horse, whatever it is, but and that's something that the interns do get, and occasionally in the videos you get a glimpse of that. Especially if we have like guests here, JB or Cody Custer does some bull riding teaching, and Jacobs, my buddy, will stop by for bronc riders and so on and so forth. When those guys stop in, all 4 of the Wright brothers have been here. We'll definitely, get some videos of some coaching. But anyhow, it's kind of.
So what is, like, there's shows on Netflix or any of the streaming apps, TV, whatnot, on ranching and cowboy and that lifestyle, right? How accurate are those?
Well, there's one show on Netflix called How to Be a Cowboy.
Yeah,
seen it. I've seen
it is the most accurate.
Most accurate.
You guys should go watch it
recommend.
and share it with
10
your
out of
family
10.
and friends. Still looking out for a season 2, so thanks for that.
Okay.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at like something like, you're talking about like Yellowstone.
Yeah,
I think
there's the popular ones,
yeah.
Yellowstone, and obviously they have all the other spin-off series off of that, and there's a handful of movies and stuff out there. Yellowstone's probably the most relatable one to the average American, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the thing about Yellowstone, Taylor does a great job of being authentic throughout, but the main thing you're attracted to there is the story, and that's what.
Yeah.
The way that they are riding and the things that they're doing, like all those little things are authentic, but those are just underlying themes with each episode. The main thing that you're attracted to is he gonna be able to keep the ranch,
right?
And so, and then I haven't seen a lot of other shows outside of that, Yellowstone and my own. I'm trying to think of some others that might have been out there.
I should have wrote them down. There was a movie I saw not that long ago.
There's one. What's that one y'all watched, Donnie? Where it's like a unscripted reality, like it's Is it Trace Adkins? Ultimate Cowboy. I mean, that's pretty real. That's as real as it gets. They're actually competing, you know, like where they're trying to like rope and gather and load stuff in the trailer. And supposedly it gets pretty intense in a few episodes.
Yeah. I was kind of standoffish about watching it, but then Dusty Burson said he watched it, so I was like, well, if he can watch it, I think I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some real cowboy friends of ours were like, man, have you been watching, what's it called? The Ultimate Cowboy.
Ultimate Cowboy.
Showdown. Yeah, some buddies of ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some series
But
like
that's
that.
a good one. And I mean, that would be, I would say, probably the realest that it gets because they're actually
doing it.
I mean, our show too was real. Like those buck offs and the gnarly things that we did, like yeah, Donnie can still feel that. Like that was not those were not like fake buck offs. So
Yeah.
I think if it's unscripted, it's probably pretty real.
That's normally the way that it goes. It seems to be.
They don't call them reality shows anymore. They call them unscripted.
Unscripted.
Oh,
okay,
but that's
we'll make
what-
sure we get that correct. Then
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
it's a reality show.
yeah. So what's it like to produce a show that's on Netflix?
It was a lot of work.
A lot of
The
work.
produce part, like the way that you said that, was exactly what I underestimated.
Really?
And we went back and forth on the pay for a long time. And by the time it was all said and done, I didn't get paid enough. I felt like just because the production company out of California, like they don't know anything about rodeo and ranching and all that, and which is fine. But I was just having to do all of it, like even down to the little bit, like no, we need to put the camera over here because of this.
Yeah.
And they were in charge of the story.
You were directing and
to
doing
be honest,
everything.
looking like I really defaulted to the production company. Like, hey guys, I've never made a TV show before, so I'm gonna let you guys be in charge. And then I just figured, however it turns out, if we get a season 2, I will then take over. Going back, I would have probably been more if I probably would have made the show a different way than it was made. I still liked it, but I probably would do a few things different if I were ultimately the one in charge of the story and how it was told. But not in a bad way, just a little different is all. But there was a lot of time and stress put on the for me, the production side of it. Like I said, like I had to load the horses. I'm moving this. I'm getting up earlier than everybody else to make sure that this is done in time to. And also Donnie and I were still putting out our own YouTube. It took
you're
2
still
months.
doing your own thing at the same time. So
it took 2 months to film. Well, like we couldn't talk about it, so I can't just like hit pause on my other work schedule, you know, and
put your phone up and do an Instagram story.
We had to like create our own content, which they were, you know, kind of union type stuff. So they were 5 days on, 2 days off, you know, but so every minute they were on, we were working. And when they weren't, we were doing our own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like twice the work for you.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how many people have seen the Netflix show that don't even realize we have almost 400 episodes of a very similar show on YouTube.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's my fault. But yeah, we do that same thing every day on YouTube.
Wow.
I guess season 2 you'll have to plug the YouTube.
Yeah, no kidding. A little better. Yeah.
Yeah, go watch on YouTube, guys. So there's a phrase or a term that you use that is probably where your average American or listener to this podcast, they probably heard it from you, and that's super puncher. What is that?
That is just the ultimate cowboy. You got, you know, a regular puncher. You know, man, that guy's a cow puncher. And then the ultimate level is, no, that Dale Brisby's a super puncher.
Super puncher.
I've got more picking strings on the back of my trailer than anyone. I get there late. And I never show up to the holdup empty-handed. If I don't have cows, I've got a deer antler, you know, something. I've found a shed.
Yeah.
Something. So yeah, that's a super puncher, and every outfit knows of a super puncher that comes through. And when he rides off, it's like two good hands riding up.
Okay. Okay.
That's
That's the super puncher.
gotcha.
When he rides off, it's like two good hands riding up.
We might have some of those at the fire department.
Yeah, we got a few of those.
Boots O'Neill said, like, I've got jeans that ride up better than you do.
Yeah, that's I think the first time I ever heard about Dale Brisby it came with the term super puncher.
yeah.
We were making fun of a guy at the firehouse that city boy
Mm-hmm.
and had never worked cows or been out on a ranch or anything like that. And one of the guys that it was on the crew at the time, he has a little cattle ranch up in Bowie, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Brandon next weekend. You want to come on up?" And he went up there, and he was so out of his element. We were getting videos all weekend of him just like a bull in a china shop, man. Just out of his element, stuck out like a sore thumb. But hey, I'll give him credit. He went out there. He went out there and wanted to see what it was all about.
Yep.
So.
No, I don't ever, and most of those outfits, that kind of guy who's out of their element, they're willing to learn. Like, those guys are always welcomed with open arms.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we were just sending
the
him
super puncher is more the guy in the corner that's been to 8 of those, and he's now the know-it-all.
Yeah. Well, we were sending him plenty of your videos and calling him a super puncher.
There you go.
Around the station for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then this guy, his captain that he works for, his boys are pretty
big fans.
Pretty big fans.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
That's fun.
they'll be tickled
They
when
actually
they know that we came
have
out here.
They have a friend that lives out in, I think, either Odessa or Midland, out there in far west Texas somewhere, and they actually do some. They actually run a ranch, like legit, and they'll go out there for a week or two every summer and actually put them to work, and so they actually
Fun.
do the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle.
That's remote country out there.
Yes, very.
That's what that is.
Not a whole lot out there, but they do some ranching for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often you shoot your bow?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Shot really good this morning at 30, 40, 50, and I don't know why, but I'm to the left at 60. So, anyway, I got to figure that out.
Just at 60?
I was this morning.
Huh. You shooting field points, or you still running?
I had also worked out and got in the cold plunge. My arms were jello, and I was kind of shaking. It's a little dim back there at 60. I shoot through these 2 doors. And so I was there was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But it was 3 arrows.
All in a group together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so I was kind of like, oh. But I still have plenty to learn with my bow. I feel really good, though. Like I said, 30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
So hopefully my first shot on whatever elk I get an opportunity to shoot at is, that one of those 3 ranges, something like that.
Yeah. Are y'all going to be calling or
a little bit of all of it? Yes, sir.
All of it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll definitely be stalking. We don't sit still. He'll take us out and kind of set us up, and he knows the terrain like the back of his hand. So, and then there'll be maybe 8 groups of guys all over the mountain, and it's kind of random where each person starts, but then all the guides talk every night, and so essentially they want to give everyone a chance to shoot at an elk.
Yeah.
And so if there's elk in one spot and some guys like maybe missed or didn't take a chance, then they'll rotate around, and somebody who didn't have a chance will be back there that day. So it's a 4-day hunt, and they do a lot of communicating where guys can roll around and make sure they get a shot at an elk. So with that being said, we've got the guy who knows the mountain the best, and he'll just take us everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about 30, 40, 50. I did a podcast last week with a guy named Josh Fields. He's a pretty expert elk hunter and elk caller, works for Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, and he was giving me a bunch of tips and everything like that, because I've had this perception of Western hunting just as these long archery shots and everything. the two animals I've shot in my life out west, an antelope and a mule deer, have been under 50, both of them. And he's like, man, with an elk, like if you're calling, he said they'll pinpoint your location, they'll come in. He goes, you're not out of the ballpark at all to think that, you know, that 50 and under that's more than likely what's going to happen. So
yeah, my first arrow was like 25 yards last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it feel like to have an elk that close?
I didn't even have time. Like
Didn't
we
have
were
time.
on top of a hill, and I was watching an elk way off to the left, about 100 yards away, but in some trees, and really hoping he would come up. And I saw him walk out of sight, and so my heart rate slowed down, and I was like, dang. And then just boom, 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 crashing, coming right here to my right. And then, like, I had time to draw and shoot. So, like, it was the best case scenario for me because I couldn't overthink it.
Yeah.
I just had
Didn't
to
have
pull
time.
back
Yeah.
and shoot.
Yeah.
And yeah, my buddy was filming with an iPhone, and he went brr, 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 and like made a weird noise and something you'd make at a whitetail.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And it stopped him. And yeah, so it was a good scenario for me being my first one for sure. That I didn't have time to overthink it.
Yeah. Do you hunt around here at all in Texas?
So it's funny. Before I came up here, my last full-time job was here, and that's why I got planted here.
Yeah.
But prior to that, my brother and I were managing this little game ranch down in East Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad ran it for 7 years, and then when he passed, me and my brother ran it for 2 years before they sold it. So I lived on that place for 9 years or around it, and we hunted all the time. Pigs, so many pigs, and some whitetail, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. But then when I came up here and kind of went down this, I was rodeoing and started Rodeo Time Apparel. Well, now I need to make sure that every extra minute was spent on that.
Right.
And if I wasn't rodeoing, I was making videos. And so I hunting kind of took a little bit of a back seat for several years of my life just because I was getting things rolling with this. Because my main go-to, you know, if I had to pick between ranch and rodeo and hunting was going to take a back seat always, you know. And so, unfortunately, that's just kind of where it sat on my priority list. But now I'm to a spot where I can actually make videos while I'm doing that, especially with my relationship with Mountain Ops. And because I've always been really adamant about my fitness, and you know, I work out on a normal day. I work out every day on a normal week, and so you know, getting extra protein, creatine, and pre-workouts. I was already using Mountain Ops, and then we got into a endorsee relationship, and they wanted to send me on this elk hunt, and I was just so relieved because it's something I wanted to do, but it's not something I probably would have like done for myself.
Yeah.
But the fact that I'm going for Mountain Ops and I'm filming now, it makes me feel better about going on the trip.
Yeah. You feel like you're putting more into it on your side. So
yeah.
Yeah, I get
well,
that.
it just makes it a work trip.
Yeah, it does.
Rather than
tax write-off.
me taking a break and going, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
a little easier to justify it then.
Way easier to justify.
That makes sense. I gotta say your flavor of Ignite
Olson Super Punch.
It's my favorite flavor.
Yeah.
I have some in my bag at home. Actually.
It's so good.
It is good.
Yeah, no, the Olson Super Punch is my go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the Cam Hanes protein is something I'm in love with. And they've got a protein bar, Conquer Caramel Crunch Bar. Have you had it? The caramel.
Yeah, I've tried.
Oh my!
I got the. I think they have
it's
like
the
a
best
sample
protein
box.
bar.
Yeah,
it's like
in the
candy.
world.
Very good.
Yeah,
it's a candy bar.
Yeah,
but it's protein, and it's like I've never tasted another protein bar like it. So,
wow,
those are important for hunts.
Make an order when I get home.
Absolutely.
Use code Kevin.
Kevin. All right.
Yeah, all the interns in here are all they've got codes.
Oh,
for
that's
Mountain
cool.
Ops, and yeah, we all just kind of promote Kevin's code. It's funny just because he's not like much on influencing and making videos, and so we all like to use his code. That's funny.
Kevin will come and go, and you'll still be using that code.
Oh, Kevin's not going anywhere. He's got him a Texas driver's license now. He's from Tennessee, but we got him a Texan now.
He's official now, for sure. So with your apparel company and everything, do you make all those in-house? Like we walked through your warehouse coming in here today, and it's
we were going to
wall to ceiling.
We were going to do that, and that's why this used to be the back of the building, and now there's a warehouse back there because we for a time we did print some of our shirts.
Yeah.
But it's so inexpensive, and there's so many good printers out there.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, instead of like trying to get a little more margin on a shirt, use that time to make more media and sell more shirts.
Yeah.
And make up for that money that way.
That makes
and
sense.
let the printers do their job.
Absolutely.
Because, if that blank cost, let's say $4, well, the printing might only on that shirt right there, that printing is going to cost like $1.50.
Yeah.
And depending on if it's cotton, bi-blend, or tri-blend, like that could be a $5.50 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And, which you go to sell it for $30 on the internet, and it looks like you're getting away with highway robbery, but that's not why you price it at $30. You price it at $30 because you don't want to compete with your wholesalers. Like we're in Cavender's, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cavender's, they want to sell it for $30. So that means they got to buy it for $15.
Right.
So that shirt is maybe $5, but one with more colors. Most of the shirts we have more colors. They'll get upwards of like $9.50.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they're tri-blend, so they're a little more expensive. Blank, and then you get the printing, the more colors, whatever. So now you've got a $9.50 shirt that you're selling to Cavender's for $15.
Yeah.
So now you're making $5.50 a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So you go online and it looks like somebody's, some a-hole capitalist. Well, no, not necessarily. Number one, I believe in free enterprise, so yes, I am a capitalist. But also, like, I've got it priced because I can't compete with Cavender's.
Right.
They don't. Why would I cannibalize that relationship? So most of my shirts are going out the door out there for $15.
Yeah.
To these wholesalers, Cavender's, Boot Barn, etc.
Gotcha.
Anyways, that's just the game. A lot of people wonder why somebody would even be worried about a margin. If you can get the shirt for less than $10, you're selling it for $30. It's a home run. But like, no. Whoa.
More to worry about than just that. Yep.
There's more to it than that.
Yeah. And that's the business side of things that your average person probably doesn't cross their mind.
It didn't cross mine either. But yeah, we're learning it. And some people don't even do wholesale, which is fine. But there's some of those stores out there that are destinations.
Yeah.
And people are going to go. Like, for instance, Teskey's or NRS, your indicator.
Yeah.
Either one of those two stores. Like, that's an experience to go there.
Yeah.
And same thing with these Cavender's and Boot Barns. Like, people just go in there, we'll walk around for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even buy anything.
Yeah.
So having a relationship with them is always helpful.
Absolutely. So with somebody, as famous of a bull rider as you are and everything, are you still able to get out and go anywhere and not be recognized, or does your fame follow you everywhere?
Most of my crowd is like rodeo and ranching.
Yeah.
Like I've spent better part of 11 years making content in the rodeo world. And these days, there's a lot of people on their phones.
Right.
So if you're a person that goes to rodeos and you also have social media, odds are at some point I've come across your news feed. So I think, just basic math says that, like, if I go to a rodeo, someone will probably have seen my videos, and I get to interact with someone I see as now a friend. Like, hey, a little something about, let's visit,
Yeah.
And so I love that. But yeah, there's plenty of places in the city that, like, there might be some folks that have never been to
Who's
a
this
rodeo and
long-haired
don't care
cowboy
to.
walking through here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially if you're not wearing the shades.
Yeah, I just always wear them now.
Okay.
You got to wear the shades, man.
Because depending on the
Wear the
city, like
shades.
if it's Fort Worth, then there's probably going to be some people in there that do recognize me. If it's Dallas, not so much. Austin,
Makes sense.
not so.
Yeah.
San Antonio, Houston, there might be some people in there that
Yeah.
out of the if I walk into a Cavender's at one of those places, then it's more likely. But yeah, it just depends on the setting.
Yeah. So with as much of a spotlight as you have with your content, your media, all that kind of stuff, where do you find time for mental clarity for yourself?
In the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a morning person. I have been for as long as I can remember. And yeah, this morning I got up at like 3:40, and from 3:40 to 6 o'clock, just no interruptions.
Yeah.
No, nothing. It's dead silent everywhere. Nobody's driving. Nobody's in the warehouse. I can shoot my bow, work out, get in the sauna, and get my day started.
Yeah.
Read my Bible. And then at 6, we'll usually do jujitsu or something. At 7, I'll go back home, cook breakfast, back here at 8. And, but I love being in this warehouse and working.
Yeah.
So as the mental clarity in the morning, like that's great. And I'm excited that I get to do that. And I think it is important for me to do it. But man, this is not like white noise to me in here.
Right.
Like, this is fun. And I think the job we get to do is fun.
Yeah. The old saying, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
I get excited about Mondays. I get sad on Fridays. So I don't necessarily need a break from this.
Right. Yeah. It's a part of your identity.
There's people in my circles when I first started that I respected that, like one guy in particular said that what I was doing would be a flash in the pan. And that was 11 years ago. And which is whatever. Like that's not my motivation every day. I don't think like, oh man, I'm going to show him, like whatever. Hey Ty, can you check the audio just to double check? But I do think like what he probably underestimated is how much I enjoy the thing that moves the train forward.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that come to the internet, like some of those competitors I was talking about earlier, that don't do as much media. Well, that's not what they enjoy. Mm-hmm. They enjoy, the entrepreneur side of it, which is fine. And you need that. But I enjoy the media side of it. I enjoy doing the podcast and doing the vlogs and making the skits and putting out the funny videos. Like I love making people laugh.
Yeah.
And so that's the side of it that I get to do every day. And that's why I think that's why it's not a flash in the pan for me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're the world that you're coming from and that you're that's attracted to what you're doing. It's hard work. It's a hard job, and you're bringing a lighthearted and humorous engagement to that side and everything. At the same time, it's realistic, and I think that's needed for some people. Some people need that. So, absolutely.
I don't pat myself on the back like I'm doing the world some big service, like I'm not Mother Teresa or anything like that. I do agree with you though. Like I think that humor for people is an escape.
Yeah.
And it is something absolutely. Just like, man, I'm going to take a break from these politics and are we about to be in World War III and is my wife going to leave me? Right now my kid is mad at me. Whatever the issue is that somebody's having, there are moments. I don't know how serious the guy was, but I do have a letter in my desk where a guy said that he was going to commit suicide,
Really?
And I've never told maybe I've told one or two people, but I don't talk about that often. I just remembered it. But there's moments like that where it's like really encouraging, like, man, this is good for people to hear.
Yeah.
Like it is positive, I want to be, be a light in a dark world, and I want to represent my faith first and foremost, and then be a good ambassador for the sport. And I want to do all that through comedy. Mm-hmm. And so when I go to a booth and I get to interact with people that are in the area that do follow along with our shenanigans, that's the most encouraging, because it's like, oh man, these are real views. People are actually listening, you know. There's a real kid out there on a couch that's watching this video on a rainy day like today. And so that part of it does help. But like I said, I'm not a Mother Teresa type. I get a win out of this too. Like, it's a .com, it's not a .org. You know,
Right.
I'm an entrepreneur, and so there's so many booths where like I'll be there and like we're having a good booth and people just be like, thank you so much for what you do for these kids. And I'm just like, it kind of reminds me like, you know, oh yeah, no, you're welcome. Yeah, it's for the kids, you know. No, I think a good deal is when it's both.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like if you and I are going to trade, I'm going to trade you your bow for this gun. If I really want a bow and you really want a gun, it's a good deal for both.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's fine. And my buddy was telling, I traded some hay. One year we cut a bunch of hay, and my buddy was a horse trainer, and he goes through a lot of hay. Well, I had this horse I didn't have time to ride, so I gave him a bunch of hay, and he rode my horse for 2 months. And his CPA was like, well, who won out of that deal? Like, how does that? And he said, well, we both did.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about this conversation where his CPA just couldn't understand. Like, no, somebody got to somebody. He's like, no, he had a bunch of hay he couldn't really sell, and I needed it, and then he needed his horse ridden. And so we made an even trade, and we were both excited about it. And I think about that all the time. Like, that's what I want my relationship with my employees to be. That's what I want my relationship with a customer at the booth. Like, hey, they got a lot of value out of all my videos, so much so that they think that this Rodeo Time brand is really cool.
Yeah.
And they would like to wear that shirt.
Yeah.
And so they buy it and they wear it, and the exchange is mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
And I really like watching basketball, like I said earlier, and so I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. So they got me with this Instagram ad, and now I'm wearing Jordans. You know, like, same thing. Like, hey, I get a lot of value out of watching clips from the MJ days.
Yeah.
I follow like a dozen Michael Jordan Instagram accounts, and jokes on them, I would have paid more. To which they probably responded, jokes on you, we'd have taken less.
Yeah, exactly. So MJ or LeBron?
I feel like we got to wait till LeBron's done.
I only asked that just because you're a basketball guy, and that's the forever debating topic. It seems like so.
Me and Ty over here, we go round and round. He says LeBron, and I like to just go against Ty, so I say MJ. But I don't know. It was cool that MJ was like stayed with the same team for his whole career, and I don't know. They're both sure the game is different. Whatever. I don't know. I'm an MJ fan, but
yeah. So what's next for Dale Brisby?
More of the same.
More of the same.
Yeah. Lord willing, for the next 5, 10, 12, 15 years, I just do this exact same thing.
Yeah.
Year in, year out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't think of, maybe we get more and more people on the media team and take on very strategic clients. Like, for instance, we do all the media for Total Feeds.
Okay.
Maybe we get some more clients like that. I've even dropped a few clients just because if I can't really execute it the way I'd like to, then I don't want to do it. And Total Feeds is one that they give me a lot of freedom. But other than that, essentially the media company that we have here is our main client is my apparel company, Rodeo Time Apparel. And so that's the goal.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I would love to see Rodeo Time become an even more prominent brand in the Western industry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to what you were talking about with, if you're producing media and everything, you have your styles, You know, you have your way of approaching it. At least that's speaking from our experience and stuff. So we're the same way. You know, if somebody wants us to work a production for them or edit a video, whatever it might be, you know, okay, well, why are you asking me? Are you doing it just because you want our skills, or do you like the style that we edit? Do you like what we have to offer? Because I don't know. I feel like we're on the same page. Nick and I do all of the editing for us.
Oh, cool.
And so I feel like we're on the same page as far as, you know, our styles and our methods and stuff like that. And we're not going to deviate from it, you know, necessarily. So I can completely relate to what you're saying there. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, the other thing is just, I know how beneficial what we do in this room, the media room and editing, and I know how much that can help move a brand forward.
Right.
And so I know I can easily put a dollar amount on it.
Yeah.
And I need for that client to be bought into a long-term plan. And I don't think that a lot of the people I've worked with recently, they're probably not going to be bought into, hey, the price that I'm going to charge them to do that media for them. But I don't really care, because I know how much the ROI is. And that's why, cause I've got stats. Like, I know what it does. I know what this media can do, because I've done it for my own company.
Right.
And so I'm pretty strict with like what I might charge.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah,
so that's another
Yeah,
reason
that's what I
why.
was going to say is you have to be.
The other thing is, like, the more media I do for you, it's going to take away from my thing. So now I'm making less money over there. And that's why I say, if I were to grow the media team from the 6 editors we have now to like 11, well, that might give us more bandwidth to take on more customers like that. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
All in due time with growth, for sure.
That's the cool thing about having our own brand. You know, it allows us to work on our time. And if we don't have just, you know, the media company, that's a secondary thing. We just happen to get really good at media by our standards. And it might afford us more clients in the future, but
yeah. And then you have like you said, you have the data to back it up based on doing your own thing and everything.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You got anything else for Dale Brisby, the Dale Brisby?
I'm kind of curious about Radiator Ranch. About, like, is that a full? I mean, I'm assuming it's a full-time operation. Run cattle. Like, how does that?
Yep, cow-calf. So we've got, you know, bucking horses, bucking bulls. I don't raise those per se. We just have some practice stock. But the main source of income for Radiator Ranch is the cow-calf operation. And so we there's three levels. You know, it starts with cow-calf, and that baby's born, and then once it gets to you know, a certain age, you know, almost a yearling, you'll wean it, and it'll enter into the stalker phase, which is the second. And there'll be a time period in there where it'll grow to, you know, and all these wheat fields around here, there's some around y'all, but those stalker cattle, you'll put on wheat and let them grow till they're ready to go to the feedlot phase, which is the third and final phase.
Gotcha.
Those are kind of the 3 levels of the industry that you can get involved in if you're going to own cattle. And the stalker phase is what brought me here. So once they go through that sale barn, and, you know, a 6-weight, 7-weight, whatever goes, you know, usually somewhere around 6, they'll come through there, and they're real susceptible to getting sick. Also, you know, they've just got terrible respiratory. So you put a 6-weight that just got weaned out into this wheat field a mile from this warehouse right here. One day it's 85, the next day it's 35, and it's back to 85. Now all of a sudden he's got pneumonia. Like, it's just they're constantly getting sick.
Gotcha.
Texas.
So I came here to help run wheat pasture cattle, and then I stayed after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I live here. And then we've also fed out a few just for our own consumption, but
sure.
the cow-calf phase is the most romantic for a cowboy. you're gathering pastures, you're branding in the spring. And so that's what normally gets the most recognition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
And that's what we do here.
Yeah, I grew up. My dad raised cattle. We did show cattle mainly.
Yep.
So we didn't run any like feedlot type
You bet.
things. So it was a much smaller operation as well.
Yeah, well, the cow-calf is usually, I don't want to say it's the easiest, but there are times of the year, like if you've got the land, there's times of the year where you can just kick them out and let them be cows.
Yep.
Especially this year, we've got so much grass. They just don't require a lot of attention, except like spring and fall are the main ones, and then maybe you got to put out and pick up bulls. But anyway, that's kind of a big that's the biggest part of the industry, and what, like I said, like shows like Yellowstone, that's what they're doing. It's a cow-calf operation.
Okay.
But
cool.
Anyway, that's the fun part of ranching.
The romantic side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
For sure.
I like that too. Man, I got a couple questions I
Sure,
like to
you
ask
bet.
every guest that joins us on a podcast, even though we're here in your house. But first one, and I know you have the elk hunt last year. That's on your mind for sure. I always ask people what your favorite hunting memory in your life is, and tell us about it.
Dang. My brother got back from a party, and like 4 a.m, and him and a buddy, and they walked in my room, and he was like, "Hey man, the deer are moving." And it was like I was trying to get my first whitetail, and it was on that ranch my dad was managing. I'd shot a doe before, but anyway, he woke me up, and I'd give up. It was like Christmas-ish, like 2 or 3 days before. I'd give up on it, and I was over it. I'd sat in the blind so much. And anyways, we went out and sat for a while, and he was kind of falling asleep, and I was just about to shoot a duck with this rifle. I don't remember if I was actually going to pull the trigger, but I had this duck in my sights. And he was like, oh, over there. And I just thought it was just this little 8-point, and I shot it, and it was just this gnarly looking, like non-typical, like he had
Really?
I hear sometimes, like if they mess up, like maybe their back right leg, they'll compensate, and it'll make their left antler funky. Have y'all ever heard that?
I've heard wives' tales.
Something like that.
I haven't heard any, like, I don't know any truth to anything like that. But
Well,
I've heard
I don't know
something
what it
along those
was
lines.
about this deer, but his left side was all messed up. He had like 2 main beams, and one of them was like kind of wonky. Anyway, it was just a cool deer. It was a cool day, and it was fun with my brother. My dad and I skinned it out, and it was my first, buck. And
That's awesome.
that was I think about that quite a bit. The elk hunt was obviously a big deal because having my buddy Dusty and Donnie there, that made it super fun. It was the last evening of a 4-day hunt.
Oh wow.
Duck hunting has always been special to me. Like, that's so fun.
It
Duck
is
hunting
a lot
to
of
me
fun.
is. Last year, Kevin and I, and then ultimately the next weekend, the next team, we went dove hunting. There's some guys up here, Dry Creek Outfitters. You ever heard of them?
I have heard that name.
I've
I've
Rustin,
never hunted with
Rustin
them.
Morgan. Anyway, they do all kinds of hunting, but we limited out. I mean, like, as terrible as a shot as I am, I mean, like 40 minutes.
Wow.
Holy
These
cow.
dove were pouring in on top of us, and that was pretty cool. But to be honest, like, maybe I don't want to say it's more fun than elk hunting. I kind of alluded to that on Joe Rogan, and he was like, hold up, but it's just a fun trip for me to go noodling.
Yeah.
Donnie and I, and a lot of these other guys have gone too, but we'll go to Alabama and go to noodle with Hannah Barron.
Yeah.
And her dad's name is Jeff, and yeah, we just usually have a really good time. They're good people, and
That's
again, he's a guide.
Yeah.
And I just kind of default to him, and
Okay.
Well, that's where you have the best experiences, regardless of what you're after or anything like
Yeah.
that, is when you're doing it with good people or people you enjoy being around. That's what makes the difference right there.
100%.
Our best hunting memories are
one time I was
Because
feeding
people-
some yearlings. there was a stretch there where I was always in the stalker phase, and I got yearlings every year for several years and lost a lot of money a lot. But anyways, I was feeding these yearlings, and they was right next to some brush, and sure enough, every morning I'd drive off, and these same pack of pigs would come out every time I'd feed, run my yearlings off, eat their feed, whatever. And so this day I drove my truck away, and I kind of crawled back up, and sure enough, you hear that truck pull away, and these pigs had come out. And this one big rascal, I had a shotgun, then I had a pistol on my belt, and I ran up, and he took off running, and I shot at him with that shotgun, and I got him on the butt somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I followed him into the brush, and I dropped the shotgun, and I chasing him afoot, and I could hear him crashing through there. And I got to this open area about as big as this room, and I made a complete 360, and I couldn't see him, and I thought I lost him. And then I heard behind me this brush, and sure enough, he comes running at me. I turn around, and I shoot him with this pistol 3 times, and he drops at my feet.
Oh, my word.
It was just one of those moments.
Yeah.
And like,
Can't make it up.
it was like, then it was quiet for a second. And I just started yelling. Like, I was like, threw my hands in the air.
Just pumped.
Like, you know, what's the is there no one else? Like,
Oh yeah,
like,
gladiator.
I was just being a goober, but that was pretty fun. I got that pig mounted.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a really cool story.
That's awesome. I like that.
But that was cool just because I was so mad at him. Like, I hate pigs. Like, people that, like, have sympathy for animals. Like, I'm cool with killing a pig any kind of way. Like, if somebody wants to. I personally don't really want to run them with dogs and stab them. Like, I don't. But somebody else wants to, by all means. Like, those are a nuisance.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're cockroaches. They tear up everything.
I think that's something that people that aren't from the South don't realize, right? Is they hear about you going crazy with the dogs and the knives, or blowing them up with tannerite or something ridiculous like that. And I mean, yes, there's inhumane and humane ways to take an animal. I understand that, but to your point, they don't realize how quickly they repopulate and how much of a problem they are, especially for ranchers and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you live with them, you get to see their evil side.
Yeah.
I put them right up there with ISIS.
Oh my gosh. For sure. Last question I got for you, man.
I got one more question also.
Go
ahead.
Go for it.
I was gonna, like, similar to your favorite hunting memory. We're here with the greatest bull rider ever. We need to have your favorite rodeo memory. It's got to be a lot of them.
Well, one that I realize comes to mind a lot. I've been thinking about it lately because I want to have him on a podcast. It was a long time ago. I don't want to say 15 years ago. I don't remember, but I was pretty young. But I was in the we were coming back from Pendleton, and I was in a truck with 3 other NFR guys, and Matt Bright is a bareback rider, and it was his rig. It was a truck and camper, and Will Lowe was in there, and Sam Spreadborough. So Will Lowe's like a 3-time world champion bareback rider. Sam Spreadborough went to the NFR 2 or 3 times in the saddle bronc riding, and from Australia. And anyway, Matt's driving. It's his rig. We leave Pendleton at like 6 p.m. or something like that, maybe 7. And I was like, well, swing around over here and pick me up. And they came over to the gift shop. And I came out with my little bag of like Pendleton goodies. You know, I wasn't going to leave without the bumper sticker, keychain, a T-shirt, all the things, you know, with that famous bronc, you know, like it's Pendleton. So anyways, they saw me coming a mile away. So we jump in the truck and they take off driving. Matt's driving first because it's his rig. About 11 o'clock, like I'm just eating it up, listening to stories from these guys. About 11 o'clock, Will Lowe climbs through the window to get back in the camper. And midnight comes along, and Matt's like, all right, whose turn is it to drive? Look over at the Australian, and he's like, well, I'm drunk. I'm damn sure not going to climb back there and wake up Will Lowe because I don't. So I was stuck with this graveyard shift. And, yeah, so I drove all the way to like 6:30 in the morning. The sun comes up, so everybody wakes up. Now it's 7 o'clock. Well, by that time, Will had gotten in the front seat, and he starts telling stories from, back in the day, and it was just like, and I'm asking him questions like I'm a student, and so I ended up just not sleeping at all, and because I didn't want to this is what I really wanted to hear.
Yeah. You're not gonna.
But anyway, it's funny to me. Like, it was a fun trip, getting to know those guys. I didn't know any of them all that well before it, and we're all buddies still, but getting to know them. But what's funny is just they said later, like, yeah, as soon as you stepped out of that gift shop, we knew we saw you coming a mile away. We knew how the night was going to unfold.
That's awesome. That's a good one.
But no, there's more like periods in my life, like phases. Like, there was one summer where Cole, as an intern, his brother spent a summer with me, and we just went to Ammy rodeos with a buddy of mine named Greaser, and I was dating a girl at the time, and just the four of us going down the road was a blast. And then Mesquite, Texas it's usually just a one-night rodeo.
Yeah.
And
I was just there.
There was a couple summers there that really kind of defined my rodeoing. And of course, college rodeo was a blast, and nobody rides good, nobody makes any money, but you have a good time, and you really set up like who you're going to rodeo with thereafter. And so a lot of those guys I'm still tight with. But yeah, it's hard. That's a good question. I should be more prepared for that, for like on the spot. But I want to have Will Lowe on the podcast. I've been texting him, and that's what made me think of that story.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fun.
I got
right
a
there.
badass picture. Damn, we need to put that. Hey, for the next podcast, we need to put that picture of Will Lowe that I got, and right here where this banner is. We go get it, Ty, so I can show them before this podcast ends.
Well, while we wait, man, I'll ask you real quick, because you're getting into bow hunting a little bit and hoping maybe to have some more time to be in the woods a little bit in years to come. What's on Dale Brisby's bucket list of hunts that you want to go on?
So this has been on my bucket list for about an hour.
About an hour, all right.
I mean,
I like it.
And it's not necessarily hunting, but it is animal related, and it might get removed from my bucket list.
Okay.
So don't judge me if I don't ever do it. But we recently had Rob O'Neill, that podcast I was talking about that he's editing. He's the guy that shot Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
And I was driving him home to the airport, and he was talking about shark diving.
Shark diving.
Yeah. Here, bring me that. Look at this dude.
That does need to be on the wall.
Okay.
100%.
That's the man right there.
That's pretty sick.
That's at AT&T Stadium. He's in the locker room, Dallas Cowboys locker room. No smoking allowed. He's sitting in there with JB Mooney, and he's ready to ride you can see it on his wristband, AT&T Stadium, but he's ready to ride and just getting a drag. At this point, he's been in the NFR like 12 times.
That's cool.
Just won't hang it up.
That's awesome.
That's rodeo right there at its finest. Will you see if it'll hang on those? Just try to put it on top of that with those. Yeah.
Tacks up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it should hang good. If it's a little crooked, that's fine. It's even better.
That's pretty straight right there. That looks good.
Damn, that's perfect.
There you go. Asking you shall receive.
Yeah. I love him. Like, he's just a real dude. I owed him some of the money for gas. I'll never forget dropping him off at a gas station in Amarillo, Texas. He was like, man, I said, I think I still owe you, because we were splitting it, and he was like, it'll all work out in the wash. Anyways, when I put him on this podcast, I'm going to give him triple what I owed him that day.
There you go.
Awesome.
I say it dang sure did come back. You know?
Yep.
I don't know.
It works out in the wash. So
Anyway, yeah.
shark diving, is that what you
dude,
said?
great whites. He goes, Rob O'Neill, like he will jump down in there with great whites. He said, like, yeah, they're
cage,
friendly.
or-
He said there's a few instances where they will attack you, and it's because usually because a human, like if they're chumming in the area. So like there was like recently a shark attack somewhere, but they were like it's in an area where they normally dispose of like animal parts.
Right.
So sharks notoriously go there to feed. And he said they'll attack you then. If it's muddy waters, they'll attack you. And there were some other instances, which I would clear up before I went, and that he said that
call.
usually it's because a human did something wrong. But normally, if you just see a great white, like he didn't want to attack you. Like he's letting you see him. And there's like a posture you can have towards them. I never in a million years would have thought that I would come around to maybe wanting to be in front of a shark, but just the way he was describing it made me really like, I never want to do this, which kind of made me want to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I will. I'll maybe take it off my bucket list, but as of today, in this moment, when you asked me,
That was the first thing that popped in, huh?
ABC Explorer or something, he told me about some guy.
Huh.
I'll need to say it, but this is like the shark guy, and
So you're just getting in the water with them? You're not
ABC4 Explorer,
ABC4.
Andy Brandy Casagrande the fourth. Yeah, and it's a shark guy who, like, he follows. Dude, look at this great white that this dude is swimming with.
Oh my word.
That's a big rascal,
Yeah.
That's a big shark.
and he's just down there hanging out with it. Isn't that insanity?
I don't know if I
Yep,
could.
that's insane.
I don't know
That's
if I
what
could
I'm
do
saying.
that.
Like,
I
he
can't
just-
do that either.
I'm like just now getting warmed up to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go on a bear hunt. I'm going to hunt.
But
a
he
big
said
bear.
like the movie Jaws,
Sharks.
like that's just fiction. They don't act like that,
Right.
apparently. Which, whatever. I'm not here to like defend the sharks. Whatever. Like they eat people. Somebody thinks they need to be eradicated. Whatever. Like I'm not like donating to shark funds.
Right,
But I'm
exactly.
just saying, like, it's crossed my mind. I've stood in front of a bull. What if I stand in front of a shark?
That would be an ultimate experience.
That's
for
a
sure.
bucket list hunt thing. Also, it'd be cool to dart a moose.
Also,
with
in
a
passing,
with a bow.
a moose would be okay, but the shark thing, yeah.
But I'm too much of a tight ass. Like I'm not going to pay no $12,000 to go
It's
kill
hard.
an animal.
Yeah, it's
That-
real hard.
100%. Same here.
You know what I mean? Like I'm
I said,
just.
blue collar guys here. So
It took mountain ops to get me on a bow hunt for an elk. Even like I'm cheap. Like I don't want to.
yeah, no, I get that, and we've learned that too. That there's certainly the pricey side of some of these hunts, and there's other ways to go about it where you can. For a blue collar guy like myself, for example, could
One
make
day-
it work. So
One day I might spend a lot of money for like a bad to the bone whitetail hunt.
yeah,
Like maybe something big down in South Texas with a bow, maybe.
yeah,
But that's like 20 years from now kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I ain't got no interest in dropping 20,000 or
oh no,
10, even 10,000 on a that'd be irresponsible.
Right.
yeah, no,
I agree.
I could see myself because I grew up with my dad, like watching Midwest hunting shows, whitetails in the Midwest, and just these giants in timber up there coming out and everything. And that would be what I would want to do if I went for a whitetail. Given all the whitetail huntings around here, I would want to go to the Midwest and shoot a giant.
Yeah.
But that's my whitetail bucket list. I would say would be because I got whitetails down here.
That's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. Number one on my list is an elk. So
Yeah.
I want to do that. Real
When I
bad.
was a kid, I used to like we'd go to the mountains just like it's this place Fun Valley. It's in Colorado. Anyways, my family we'd go there for a week. My granddad would take us. We'd fish, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember those trips because all the places we'd stop would always have postcards, and I got a bunch of elk when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle said, "Man, when you hear them bugle, it's like nothing you've ever dreamed of." And so, like one of those first mornings, like it's like a symphony going off. These elk were bugling. I sent him a video. I was like, "Man, it's just like you said." Like
Wow.
I dreamed of an elk hunt since I was a kid, so that was cool to get that marked off the list.
Yeah,
That's
no
awesome.
doubt.
Very cool. Well, man, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you letting us join you in your studio.
Yeah.
For this episode. If
Anytime.
somebody's tuning in and they want to, this is the first time they've heard the name Dale Brisby. They want to know more. They want to know about your apparel brand, Radiator Ranch, anything that you got going on. Where can they find you?
I mean, YouTube. That's where we got the most. We got the long form, but I'm on everything: TikTok, Instagram. I got a Snapchat, Facebook, and then rodeotime.com is our website.
Awesome. Well, you got anything else, Nick?
No, it was awesome.
Thanks, guys. This is a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it, man. Yeah, we enjoyed it. This was a good time. Thank you for having us.
Come back at episode 304. We'll do a throwback episode.
Absolutely.
There you go.
We'll be here. We'll set it up.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
for sure.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you're tuning in, appreciate y'all. Go check out Dale and everything he's got going on, and we'll be back with y'all again next week for another podcast.
Well, Dale, yeah. Use code Kevin on Mountain Ops.
Kevin.
Dang it, Donnie.